and we're doing it. We're giving you a round of applause because everybody knows that every veteran served in any military facet, let it be, from Afghanistan to World War II to any, North Korea. We have to take care of these guys because they're not the ones that make policy. They're not the ones that have any influence on what happens here in the homeland, right? Those are our elected officials, or the politicians who choose to go to war. And, we can argue and say that some of the wars we've been in are pointless, right? And there's that argument, and I'm not going to get into that right now, but they follow the orders and they don't ask questions. They just go. And they go, it's like, oh, I'm serving my country. It's time to go protect my family. Let's go. And being, what we talked about in your podcast, being, a military brat, I can't stand, and this story really upset me, 200 and some odd veterans that we know of have been deported. Why are they being deported, and why isn't this being talked about?
Well, and the thing that really galls me here is that here we have, and before I even get to this point, I often tell my wife that the military does one of two things to you. It either makes you a much better person than you were before, even with all your faults, or it totally screws you up, which is why you got people like, who's that transgender deserter?
Yeah. Bo Bergdahl, yeah.
I think it was his.
No. Chelsea Manning. That's what we're referring to.
Chelsea Manning, right. Chelsea, Bradley, whatever he wants to call himself this week. You get people like him. I've known a number of people who've gotten out under bad conduct and dishonorable discharges, and it made them worse as people. But those people are far and few in between. Service generally tends to make people better individuals. So here we got these people that all, were either going to re-up, re-enlist, or we're getting discharged, and this is usually when they end up getting caught up in this whole mess.
Yeah.
They served honorably. So these people, let's deport them, because I guess it's low-hanging fruit, but let's not deport the person
that robbed the liquor store across the street, right?
Which one?
Or they're not deporting the gangster that robbed the liquor store down the street because he has rights. He has constitutional rights. Well, guess what? These veterans have constitutional rights. And if anybody has a constitutional right more than a gangster is a veteran, because guess what? The veterans sacrifice more than that gangster will ever sacrifice.
Well, moreover, they're the defenders of the Constitution, whereas the criminal is the antithesis of that.
Yes.
It makes my head one just kind of pop like one of those cartoon characters.
Oh yeah, and I think this is a huge issue. This is a real issue. But due to time constraints, I can talk to you all night, Ed. But let's switch gears here and talk about move along here. But tax reform. House finally passes their version of the tax reform and sends it to the Senate. Your thoughts? I mean, we got about 10 minutes left. Let's try to knock out some of these potential cobwebs off the tax bill.
To basically put it in a nutshell, I think it's a nice little win for Paul Ryan, and it looks good on the sound bites and everything else like that. But they got an uphill battle. The Senate's got their own little thing, which you're trying to repeal the Obamacare individual mandates, which very few people are against that. The problem is they got to go to reconciliation, and what are we going to get out of that? Bottom line, if we don't get something by the year's end, it doesn't look good for the next 3 years. This is one of the few areas I'm pessimistic on.
I mean, you're not the only one pessimistic on this, and we got to give respect and admiration where it's due, right? Paul Ryan, at least in the House, right? He has whipped those Republicans into shape and to back up the Trump agenda. Now, I still believe that Paul Ryan is a huge establishment guy. He hasn't been a hardcore conservative since like 97. But we have to give it up to him. He's been following Trump's lead on a lot of the on the two big issues on healthcare, which he passed his version through the House that died in the Senate, right? And he passed his version of the tax bill, and we'll see what's going to happen in the Senate. So it's leading me to believe now. The more as this year has kind of taught me anything is the House is where the president has his allies. But they're completely gone, and they're completely running for the hills in the Senate. And I want to get your thoughts on why this is happening.
Well, you got a lot of these Senate Republicans, like McCain. McCain just, he's got butthurt, so he's going to do anything he can. Because, he's got to figure he's on borrowed time. So at this point, you know what? You made fun of me being a POW, so now I'm going to mess up your whole program. You got him, you got Bob Corker, you got Fluke, you got who's the young lady up there in Alaska? I don't want to be misogynistic and call her names.
Claire McCaskill.
But McCaskill, yes, you got her, and Republicans only got a slim margin in the Senate, 52-50. Or they got a 52-48. I'm sorry, got to learn my math all over again, but. They got that slim majority there, and if even you get three people, which has usually been, it's been McCain, McCaskill, and who was the third there?
It's usually Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, it's those three.
So that's been enough to just screw up the whole program. And honestly, I think it goes back to that whole protecting the establishment, because what are these people? Establishment, they sure as hell ran on the, like a Tea Party agenda. McCaskill in particular with the whole repeal Obamacare, but she's voted against repealing Obamacare at every single turn. It's just amazing.
It's becoming more clear to me as time passes by when it comes to Senate Republicans. They don't care about the people. I think. Now, I understand what the Constitution says about, the senators and how they came to be, and I think it was the 15th Amendment that repealed, the state legislators picking good senators, right?
Right.
What it's become is this long term, and 6 years is a long time in politics because everything's happened so fast. That they're almost untouchable, right? How long has John McCain been in office? How long has Mitch McConnell been in office? Marco Rubio's about to hit his second term, and now all of a sudden, we have these establishment guys that have been there for over 12 years, and they're the ones running the show, and nothing's getting done because they're ancient robots, and I mean that with all the love in my heart, because they're ancient robots and they don't know where the world is going. They're trying to keep it what it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
See, you're a better person than me because you say it with all the love in your heart, and I give them all the contempt I can give them. Because these are people that kind of like, when you look at something in a legal sense, you should have or ought to have known in your position. As a senator, you knew that one of the reasons that, yes, you were appointed to the Senate on the onset of the founding of our country, and there were 2-year terms in the House of Representatives. The Senate was supposed to be the elites and the nobility of society, whereas the House of Representatives was the common people, the farmer, the shoemaker, the horse keeper. It was all that good stuff. And these people were only supposed to serve for a short term and then go back to their lives. And it blows your mind because when did it become a career? Now, Paul Ryan, I remember when he got on the scene, he was this up-and-coming conservative firebrand. He was good stuff. Even when he ran as a VP nominee with Mitt Romney, he was a conservative on that ticket.
Yeah.
But he was, they got entrenched because I honestly cannot remember. What the hell did Paul Ryan do before he was a congressman? What was his actual profession? Like Ron Johnson, I know what he did. he has a business. He has
Yeah.
a business here in Wisconsin, in the Racine area, and it was a very successful business, which is why he was able to bankroll a good portion of his own campaign.
Yeah.
But now we've got these people, they have a career in service in the Senate and Congress the same way that an officer would have a career in law enforcement. And that's unacceptable.
Oh, yeah. No, it's 100% unacceptable. It's 100%. It's unexcusable. But as we're closing up the show, Ed, I really, really, really want to thank you for coming on today and being my co-host as my wife is not around. But what's next for you? What's going on in your world? What's going on the Caramel Conservative podcast, formerly known as Late Night with Mr. Ed?
Oh, man, I got all kinds of stuff, man. Well, first and foremost, I want to give a big shout-out and a big thanks to you, man, because, we've been doing a lot of talk, almost on a daily basis. We've been doing a lot of that live streaming via Instagram, Facebook Live. So, I definitely hope we can keep that up. It's a new medium for me, so I'm learning as we go. But the podcast, the website, thecaramelconservative.com, I'm going to be doing a little revamping on the website. The podcast is still going to be coming up here Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Got the live call-in number, and thankfully, we had you on there this past Tuesday for almost, a good hour and a half?
Yeah, it was an awesome conversation. I think we hit a lot of good stuff, and it was just an awesome opportunity to talk to your audience and kind of introduce the new boy on the block.
Yeah, and I definitely want to, keep working on that, keep, fostering these relationships and trying to see what other new talents out there and just kind of work with folks and see what they got out there, because I see I saw, was it Civility 101 or some other gentleman? He was doing a podcast with a Canadian conservative on the Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
These are young folks.
Yeah, young kids, man. They're coming up. I was trying to tell you. Well, Ed, yeah.
That's impressive. But thank you again.
No, thank you so much for calling in and joining me today. You send my regards to your wife and kids, and thank you so much for coming in again. All right, brother?
Of course, brother. Thank you always, as always, man. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
All right, bye.
All right, guys. That was Ed Delgado, the one and only Caramel Conservative. Well, guys, there's so much we can keep talking about, but my time is closing up, and I want to really, really, really thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it. It's a new medium for me. I'm enjoying every single part of this, and I'm enjoying the mentorship from Caramel Conservative and the countless other people that have reached out to me. The original guest for today, something came up, unfortunately, but we will have him on as soon as he's available. But I want to remind you guys, don't forget, like my boy Gio from The Beard and the Mole says, Twitter, Insta, book me. So follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, and follow me on Facebook. I'm posting regularly. There's always the link to the podcast, and my website will be coming soon. Don't forget, I will probably do another show this week, and it will feature my wife. Have another conversation with my wife on the podcast for you guys. I know I got a lot of good feedback from that last time. But thank you guys so much for listening. My name is Daniel. I am the Conservative Papi, and I'm out.